Hey, everybody, welcome to Energy Unleashed podcast with Suzanne and Kim.
Hello,
How you doing?
here we are.
This is gonna be a good one, Kim.
I am a little nervous about this one. I
I
can't.
know because you were out of town, and this was a webcast that I did for the Vibe Tribe group. Vibe Tribe is my private monthly membership, and you happened to be out of town when I did this one. And yeah, check out Vibe Tribe on my website at sworthy.com if you choose to, because I teach some really massive stuff. And this one was a doozer. And I always know that it's a doozer because nobody makes any comments on the side because they're
Aside.
boring.
Have I lost everybody? Crickets.
Yeah, I
Crickets.
always have to go, are you getting this? Would someone please let me know, or did you all leave the building? But this is a really, I think, very important subject. And the reason why I did it on Vibe Tribe was I was finding myself drawing this same picture over and over again with clients,
Yep.
and which always tells me that it's something that's important for more than just, the onesie twosies that I'm talking to in that day, right?
Mhm.
And when I find it like threes, fours, and fives by the end of the week, I'm like, oh man, this is like a big deal. So, especially right now, since everything's a little chaotic, what we're finding is that people are arguing a lot and fighting a lot and having really disgusting feelings about others in terms of you can't do that, you shouldn't do that. Let's just bring it into the politics ring. If you're on one side versus the other, that side thinks they shouldn't be able to do this, or what makes them think they can do that, and all these just accusations that are flying everywhere, right? We can take it to the biggest stage of all, or we can take it right into our own home or bedroom, even, to say everybody is fighting over perception right now. And I was really coming up against this a lot in terms of helping the client understand that perception is something that is so completely unique. It is so individual. And
Mhm.
we don't think that because we're very trained as humans to go outside for validation, right?
Yeah. No, I
If you
totally agree. Yeah.
if you tell me I'm right, then I'm right, right?
I believe you're right.
Right. And then I'm going to hammer it home because I have to have you be right, right? To make me be, and on it goes. And
Ugh.
it's all bull. It's just so silly, right? And this is something that I was starting to draw for people, and I want to help people sit with the concept of perception and knowledge is two different things. I can perceive something, right? And I'm going to put my specs on because I do have notes from my big thing that I did the other night. Perception is, I'm registering information. I'm out here, I'm experiencing, I'm getting connected with things, and I'm registering information.
Mhm.
Okay, so it's in the moment. And knowledge is, okay, now I took in that information, and this is what I'm assessing. This is what I'm believing. This is my knowledge base of it. So it's two really different things. And I really thought that that was super interesting because our human ego is our operating system. And most all of the time when we're in this process of reality, bringing things in, assessing, turning perception into knowledge, and vice versa, is always in an ego state. It's hardly ever in a divine mind state, meaning aligned to my higher self state. It's usually egoic. Okay. Do you know what I'm saying, that that's different?
Yeah, I do, but maybe you could give an example of what
Okay.
that would look like.
Well, ego is a tough thing. We all have to have one. I think
Yeah.
egos are very important, and it helps me be an individualized fractal of source, right? If we're all fractals of holographic fractals of God source, and we're here to have experiences, that God source doesn't want the same experience every day, all day from everybody. The whole ego is about having a perception and a perspective on things that's unique to me. This is really important. So the
Mhm.
ego is usually a really great thing until it gets scared and it keeps us in the loop pattern of, now I have to be right. I have to be the one. I'm the special one. I'm the one that's going to be the one. And on it goes. So the ego can drive us crazy because it never wants to die. It wants to be in charge. And the ego most oftentimes is coming from a place of fear. So it's always needing outside validation, where divine mind comes from inside validation, inside of my own source essence, in my heart, in my body, in my knowing, okay,
Mhm.
that I just know. It's more of a feel. In empath, I write them as think feel and feel feel. A think
Okay.
feel is an egoic thing where I can think I feel that. And then the divine alignment is, oh, I know that. Okay. So that's kind of all the knowing, all right, the perception. So it comes a lot when we're in our ego, it's very survival based, it's very fear based, it's fight or flight based, it's all that stuff, right? I mean, that's kind of what we know for the ego. So we need it, but do we? Yes, we do.
We
Okay.
do.
So I wanted to draw what I draw. I'm going to whip over here to the old whiteboard. We don't do this normally on Unleashed, but it's fun. So what I was showing my group was, if this is me, I got to see if I got the good marker. That's in the frame, right?
Yep.
Yep. Okay, I'm gonna bring her in so you can kind of really, not the greatest markers. If this is me and I'm attached to my so-called higher self, my divine mind, this is where that divine mind comes from. And that alignment comes into my own body via my auric field, my chakras. It comes into my heart center. I'm tethered to that. So I'm always in alignment with my divine mind. But really, we don't pay attention to it because the ego takes over. Okay.
Right.
So that is always, always there. But when we're going through life, what we do as a human is we're perceivers. We project out here and it comes right out of our eyeballs instead of our third eye. And our eyeballs shoot out this so-called projection. And I was saying to one client the other day, it's almost like, think about what a movie is like. We went and saw Wicked 2 the other day, and we were looking up at the projector and watching the old time thing come out. That's what your eyeballs are doing every single solitary day. Okay. So your perspective is coming out of what is housed inside of that egoic mind and body and all your cell structures. And we're going to get into that in a second. And it's perceiving and projecting at the same time. So I'm out here to perceive, but I'm also projecting. And what I'm projecting comes from my experiences. And this is why we are unbelievably ignorant if we think that we can know somebody inside and out, because all of my experiences, all of the things I have ever had happen to me, all of my memories, all of my fears, all of my joys are housed in this structure of not only my physical form, but my energetic form. Okay. And most of the time, I don't even know it's housed in there. I mean, because I can bury stuff. And the way that I said it on this class, and I think I've said it before on this podcast, but I'll say it again in case it's new, is let's say that you were 3 years old and your mom and your dad were fighting really verbally scary. And you were a tiny little kid and you're in the kitchen and you're watching mom just kind of get gaslit by dad and she's shrinking down more and more. And she had a yellow dress on or a yellow sweater, maybe. And you're this 3-year-old kid wanting to go right into the woodwork and disappear because the confrontation is scaring you. It's fight or flight. Oh my God, oh my God. But what you're doing is you're registering yellow is unsafe.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the rest of your adulthood, you have no idea that every time somebody's in yellow, you have a trigger inside of you that I'm not safe. So let's say now you're 65 years old and you have a really goofball boss that comes in a yellow shirt or a yellow dress or a yellow sweater, and you're already really on edge. And now this goofball boss is, projecting at you and saying things and triggering you, and you have no idea why you're off the rails. And that's why. Do you see how crazy that is?
Yeah,
So
and how very
imagine it
deep it
all
is
yellow.
for you because you don't remember it. I mean, especially at 2 or 3 years old or whatever.
I don't even remember
Right?
yellow,
No.
but my cells remember yellow, right?
Yes.
So now I'm looking out into the world and I'm seeing yellow, 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 and now I'm scared and I'm having perspective and perception. So really, I won't become knowledge until it comes back in, and then I determine my own base of knowledge. So all of it, even my knowledge, is all relative. Isn't that crazy?
It is, especially because when you say perception and you draw that out, I feel like it's whatever you're watching or experiencing is coming back in already.
Yep.
But you're saying that you're reacting based on what you're seeing, but when you decide to take it in and evaluate it, is that when
you're
it becomes
you're even plugging it more in as a truth. Now
okay?
it's a truth because it came back into my container and I own this and this is right. And this is where things like dogma or programming or, really just keep hammering away, nefarious programming, all that stuff. That's why they break them down with the same thing, same thing, same thing, same thing, because they're just shoving it into their perspective, right? You're watching the same tape, you're watching the same thing, they're shoving it into your container and that's all you know. So that's becoming your knowledge. Do you see? That's why
Oh
that stuff
yeah.
is really. So,
Yeah.
but let's keep going here because this is where we have the problem. So now I'm going to be a different person. So now I go through my day and my partner is driving me crazy because he or she is doing such and such. Maybe it's like he never picks up his socks or he won't help around the house or I've asked him a million times to do this, that, or the other thing. Okay. And I say something back to him, and then it turns into the same fight. And oftentimes we'll find, especially in partners, let's stick with this one for a minute, we can find that we have the same exact fight over and over and over for a whole marriage or a whole relationship, right? In different forms, but it's basically the same fight. Does it
Right.
sound familiar?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, that was funny.
Been married for 42 years. It does
That's
sound
right.
familiar.
There's that loop. Okay, so this is happening right here. But when I stick it out over here, I'm sticking it to my partner, but it bounces off of my partner and comes back to me just like that knowledge thing, right?
Yeah.
So really what I'm doing, and I want to make this a prominent here so you can see it. I'm using my partner as a bounce return, but what it's doing is it's going to go back into that whole system again and dig out the thing that I'm the most scared of, and it's going to reiterate, see,
So
you
it's
have no ears.
creating like a loop of the
It's a
same.
complete loop,
Oh.
self-validation, victimization loop. Isn't it
Right.
crazy?
It is crazy because what you usually see in that perception in the other person is really about yourself anyway. So you're
A
bringing
hundred
it
percent.
in. Yeah. Okay.
And you think you're being judged and you think that this person has control over you, and yet you're the one that's controlling all of this action and you don't have any idea.
Yeah.
And let's even make it more twisted. You want validation from this person to know that you're fabulous and right and wonderful, and there's nothing about anything that's interacting to even make that happen. You made it all up.
No, you want validation that you're right.
Yeah. Isn't it just crazy?
It is. It is. And so you have many clients that their perception of situations were definitely this type of loop
Well, they don't
or
know that
trigger.
it's the perception that's working. They just can't get over the same fight.
Oh,
So I've had the same fight with my husband forever. I've had the same fight with my boss. I've had the same fight with my whatever. Okay.
mhm.
So, and it's like, and I was telling another story that you can tell, especially with an intimate partner or someone that you've been married with for a really long time, when you're not getting through to them because their actual auric field changes, which then changes their physical field. So if I'm sitting there and I'm saying something to my husband, and my husband is doing that yellow thing, okay, now I'm getting yelled at and there's a confrontation here, and my husband is saying something, but I'm only hearing yellow. I'm registering and triggering yellow over here, and he has no idea, nor do I, right? So
Mm-mm.
now we're not even having the real fight, we're having the yellow fight, the yellow sweater fight. Are you following that?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like, I'm not safe, I'm not safe, I'm not safe. And it might not have anything to do with safe, and you're already trying to defend because now you're defending a 3-year old who is scared.
Oh, goodness. That totally makes sense to me though. I
Yep. And now get this, my partner over here has completely lost who I am, truly, because I'm fighting a 3-year-old memory. And some of the things you can find in your partner when they're doing this, I was telling how when I work with my husband Chuck, I can see I lose Chuck at certain
yeah.
times because he will do this whole projection. This is Chuck, this is me. I'll say something. He's seeing it through mine's voice with Chuck. There's something about my voice that will hit a certain tone or something that reminds him of his father. And I know that I lose him because his eyes shift. And it's subtle, but it's strong enough that I know over all of these 40 plus years that I've lost him. And why do I even want to argue or try to stand up for something? Because he's not even fighting that fight. He's fighting his dad right now. So he is projecting, I'm not even Suzanne, I'm his dad. Okay, I'm going to put top hat on because I'm dad. Okay, I'm not Suzanne anymore, and he sees dad, which he's going to then bounce back, see, my dad never loved me or I wasn't good enough. And it's not even his dad, it's me.
Oh, gosh.
And this happens with us because, and I always throw Chuck under the bus and he's aware of this. He does this with his dad because his dad yelled a lot and his dad was always angry. And he will say to me, see, now you're angry. And I'll be talking just like this. And I'm like, I'm not angry. And he's like, yes, you are. I can hear it. You're yelling at me. And I'm like, actually, I'm not yelling. So the projection is dad yells at me, therefore I'm in trouble and I'm not good. But this is actually Suzanne and she's not yelling, but he doesn't see any of that because the perspective is triggering. I'm not safe from being blah, blah. Okay. Which
Yep.
means that his perspective and perception coming back in is completely different. And then he turns that into amazingly his knowledge based on his so-called wife, which doesn't make any sense because I'm not even doing any of it.
Yeah, oh my gosh. And then it just starts over again. Like
Sure.
you said, you don't get out of it, right? Like,
And it's really, really difficult for this person because I keep going, I'm not a dad. I'm not a dad. I'm myself. And you're not seeing me or hearing me. And now we, sadly, can do this because then it's like, you're not hearing me. And I'm going to do the same thing if I have a wound inside of me that says I'm not heard or seen.
oh gosh. Okay. Yeah, I mean, all I can see in my head is that like anything that comes up like that, it's going to be the same loop of battle. Like,
Yep. This
oh,
is why partners, people, bosses, siblings, everybody in our whole entire reality that are humans have the same fights over and over again in different ways. I always call them different sandboxes. It's different toys, but it's all the same sand because the fight is still I'm not worth enough, or you're not hearing me, or I'm not seen, or I'm not safe. All of those things are what the sand is, right?
mhm.
So we're doing it all the time. Now, this, I was saying the other night on Vibe Tribe, and again, I taught this, literally taught this and broke this down insanely for over an hour, just this subject. But we can also do the television. This is an old time television. And I can watch the news, right?
Mhm.
So if I'm watching the news and I'm just going through the channels, but then I plunk down and I watch World News Tonight or whatever, and I see everything that's happening on the news, and I don't have the ability for discernment. I don't even open my mind to the concept that this might be all bull crap and I'm getting, a pawn. I'm going to take the news in and then I'm going to hunker down that that's the truth. So
Yeah.
then when I go out to coffee with the gals at work, I'm going to have a truth that we're going to war, or I'm going to have a truth that, aliens aren't real. I'm throwing out really bizarre stuff, but point taken. Okay. That I can hunker down and double down on things because I've created this mechanism,
Yep. Because
right?
it's my perception and I took it in and made it my knowledge.
Yep. And
Wow.
this is also where programming in things like really big dogmatic processes, like I said, military breakdowns, programming breakdowns. This is how it is. This is what God is. This is whatever. I mean, you can have the fights like crazy about things in dogmatic religion these days because people will hunker down and double down on what they believe
Mhm.
because they've been presented from somebody standing on a pulpit or a book or whatever, and this has got to be their truth because they don't have that ability to wiggle in there,
Yeah.
and they've made it hardcore truth,
Gosh, it just makes me crazy to think about because just looking at TV and, with the holidays, they were telling people you don't have to put up with your relatives or go spend time with your relatives if you don't believe in the same
right?
politics or whatever. I mean, to put that out there over and over and over for people to hear that they would actually believe that instead of putting family first, and figuring that out. It's God, and then
Or I'm just going to play devil's advocate
yeah,
and not reach the other side of that. Or am I playing families first because that's the line that I was given for our family structure?
it could be. It could
And
be.
my family is so toxic that it's healthy for me to not go.
True enough. True enough.
Right?
And when you have programming on top of that, like,
Yep.
oh gosh, because
Isn't it
where are
crazy?
you doing the healing in that? That's
So the healing starts to come in terms of we need to interrupt the projection loop, okay? And the only way that we interrupt the projection loop is knowing that I have perception, first of all, and that I have the perception coming from me that I'm projecting outward. And you got to know the process, that it's a
mhm,
loop pattern, okay?
great.
And so if I pause for a minute and I go, huh, okay, I'm literally now an ego. And ego, again, what we said at the beginning, is usually fight or flight, fear
Mhm.
based, anything that is jeopardizing something. The ego always wants to win. The ego needs to be there because pay attention to me, right? I mean, right? So this is stopping the ego from interpreting. And the only way that we can do that is somatically, meaning feel center wise, okay? Shifting into this And again, very similar to what I teach in Empath. Is this even real? Is this mine? Is this stuff he's projecting at me right now even real and mine? Is this even like a thing? I mean, am I really yelling? Because I'm really not yelling. I mean, what the heck? So it's really sitting in there for a moment going, is this mine? Is this not mine? And then really, really reclaiming, wait a minute, I'm just going to pause and step back for a minute. And I have little tactics that I teach on a lot of my teachings, especially with, again, Vibe Tribe. He gets to believe that, he gets to say that, he gets to act like that. But what do I get to do now? What do I get to do? And we can't get to that place of reclaiming our sovereignty and our power until we get to neutral,
Hmm. Right.
right? So
Yeah.
neutralizing and then responding in a way that doesn't engage in the loop anymore, it stops the loop.
Right.
This is a problem for the ego, though, to stop the loop, because I'll give you one word why, because I dealt with it for a long time. This is a hard word.
Ooh.
Surrender seems like weakness. I
Yeah.
don't want to admit he's right. I don't want to tell him he's right. Even if he isn't right, just to get out of the fight, that seems weak. That seems stupid. I'm compromising all of those things. And I'm not saying don't ever compromise your truths. It's just like, where do you draw the line on being silly, with all this stuff? Where does it make sense and not make sense anymore to your body, etc.? So
Right.
this is why sometimes it is easier to not go to the toxic family.
And I get that. I really do.
Yeah.
But the surrender part of that is, I mean, it's difficult when you figure out that your perception, your belief isn't real or
Yeah.
right. To surrender that it takes a lot for a person to do that.
Now
It
think just for a minute, and I don't want to crack this open because then it can go in a whole different million ways, and I don't want to do that right now, but I'm just going to tease with, just think of the people that will not even tolerate the thought of really horrific things happening.
oh, right.
Okay, like, child abuse, or, people don't sell children, all of that. That's ridiculous. Well, the reason why is because I already don't feel safe. I don't
Yeah.
want to hear that on anything over here. That's crap. You're making that up. You're just making the. And they're doing this fight because I already feel unsafe and don't even tamper with my safe little nest that I kind of am in my ego, et cetera, et cetera. So we can really find ourselves not progressing as a planet and a human race and as a species and as compassionate human beings with love, because we don't want to get out of that protective ego,
Hmm.
because it's icky and it's scary and it's gross. And I would never think anyone should do that or could do that. Well, you know what? They can and they do. So this is where we start to really open without judgment and not go down the rabbit hole and get stuck there either, in terms of horrific thoughts and go into a depression, etc. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff to that, but I just wanted to kind of tease out there that that's how far this stuff could go, where I'm not thinking about that. That's not real.
I know. That just, yep, nope, can't be. No, not in my world.
Well, and even in a personal world, think about it, Mom, I just need you to know Uncle Jim, touched me at the last party. No, he didn't,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
and I'm 8. And I'm
Yeah.
like, wait, and
So
that's
what do
a
you,
that's a abuse wound on me for the rest of my entire life. And plus, I'm not validated by my parent,
yeah,
No, he didn't,
that's
So
huge for that individual. Yeah. That's,
because
oh
our
gosh.
perception is Uncle Jim, or whatever I just said, is my brother, and he's fine, and he would never do that. That's my perception. And I
Hmm.
have all this inner knowledge. That's ridiculous. It's not going to happen, and on and on and on. So it's fascinating to me that we don't understand that this is completely a belief system problem. This is a belief system problem. That's the architecture that's way inside of here. And let me even make this bigger. It's way inside of here. It's in my whole thing. And it's
Hmm.
all the way up into here, because I might have past life information that I'm running through my energy body that I'm not aware of. I might have all kinds of knowledge that is floating around in these fields that are projecting out over here to another person, and I don't even have a clue. So these are crazy big structures of hidden architecture that we're not even aware of.
Gosh, and you just, okay, so it blows my mind because as an individual, you're going through your spiritual journey trying to figure out this stuff as you go and what it's going to take to identify and work through and release it.
Yep.
Right? It's a lot when you
Do you
put
want to
it,
make it super easy?
yeah. Surrender.
I got a bad marker all of a sudden. I must have used it the other night. Let me see if this one, I'll do the red one. It's better. That's all it is.
Fear, love, right,
We
right.
make everything so convoluted. And when we bring it down to I can't, and this is too much, and even this and this whole architecture and structure, here's the deal. If it's a fear-based frequency, it needs to go. Even if it was mine and my frequency and a belief system that when I was 8, and even if something did happen with Uncle Jim and nobody believed me, this is my work to get it out of my fear structure,
Right,
right? It's
right.
my work to decide if I choose to love myself enough to override Uncle Jim, or if I stand up to Uncle Jim, right? It's empowerment and taking my energy back is what I want to do in terms of love. If I'm still working in the fear, then I'm back in the ego.
It's gonna stay. Yeah.
And
Mm.
again, the somatic, meaning the feel center, the sentience of the body, when I'm in the think feel, it's always going to be fear based because it's driving that ego. But if I drop it down, especially into my sacral and my solar plexus, I'm going to feel. That's why they say it's a gut feeling. I have that gut feeling. Every time I see Uncle Jim, I have a gut feeling, you know? I mean, come on, people, let's trust our guts. But
Hmm.
nope, that head's going to override it because that perspective is Uncle Jim would never do that. So therefore, that's my knowledge, you know, and so on. So it's really trusting the alignment here versus the perspective, perception, loop pattern, take it in, make it real.
See, it's so crazy. I mean, because that's big stuff, the examples that you gave us. But
Yeah.
when you think you have 75,000 to 80,000 thoughts a day on
Yeah.
top of all of that, and like there's a lot going on in that brain.
And think of how much, if you have 80,000 thoughts a day, that's a really good little segue we're going to make here. 80,000 thoughts a day in that little head of yours.
Yeah.
If I'm not safe, if people abandon me, I'm not lovable, I am filtering out every single solitary thought pattern that I'm projecting onto that stranger, that work, that whatever, that neighborhood. I am not able to trust this. This is dangerous. I don't belong here. I'm not good enough. Love must be earned. Money is hard. I have to suffer. All of those perceptions are working so hard every single solitary day because that's what you're running as your narrative. So
Yeah.
basically, it comes down to your script, right? It
Yeah.
comes down to your narration script and what is your truth. So shifting to your divine mind gets you back up into this area is going, well, I'm one with source, so I am lovable. I'm not going to have that perception looking at 8 million thoughts that are going through my head that I'm not enough, not enough, not enough, because I am enough.
Mhm.
So it's switching the mechanics of how the energy is coming through the filter and then the perception that's going out. And really, oh, this is a really good, weird way to explain it. I have strange things pop in my head. You know, when you buy a white car and all of a sudden you realize how many white cars there are,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right? Okay, it's that thing. If I have that perception and my experience is I'm not safe, everything I filter out of that 8 million thoughts in a day is going to see not safe, not safe, not safe, just like white car, white car, white car.
Mhm.
Isn't that crazy?
It is. The brain is so, gosh, dang it.
Terrifying,
Yeah, it is. And
right?
I mean, you consciously really need to catch what
Yep.
those things are and stop and, redo in the love versus the fear.
And now let's unleash it just a smidgen more, just to really drive your brain nuts. Is you will always, what you fear in those 80 million thoughts and perceive out here is always what you're going to experience and perceive because you're creating it.
Yes.
So therein lies that law of attraction, which people do not ever really get until you sit with the thought of what I really want, I'm getting. What I really don't want, I'm getting. I'm
It's
getting. It's a pulse,
true.
people. It's not an
Mhm.
order at the drive-through. It's really important to understand I'm going to guarantee that loop pattern does exactly what I'm putting out because I'm in charge of the whole thing. So how somebody can be so miserable in their life and blame everything and everybody is beyond me because you're the one that's projecting it and writing the script and doing the play role. I don't, it's just, it's utterly amazing sometimes.
It is amazing. Well, it's kind of the mirror thing, right?
It's
Again,
100% a mirror
it's
thing.
the I don't like what you're doing, but it's what I don't like in myself.
It's
So,
100% the mirror
ugh.
thing. Yes.
Mm,
So remember, when we're energetically looking at it, it's the programming
mhm.
that writes your story or your narration, okay? The beliefs that you're getting given throughout the time, even in utero and all throughout, are always going to reinforce your story.
Yes.
Remember that. Okay. Perception interprets the world according to your story. So now I've got my narration and my storyline in my head. I'm the back of the projector. I'm sticking out the movie per that information. So it's really important to know what flippin' story do you keep telling? Because you're the one that's telling it, right? I'm sick, I'm sick, I'm crazy, I'm nuts, I'm the black sheep of the family, I'm the worst one, I'm such a loser, I'm too fat. All those things we're putting out every day, every day. And then the ego, not the nice one all the time, is going to react to the story. And it's going to guarantee that it keeps you hostage in that loop pattern because that's its job,
Mm,
right?
yep.
And then the projection is going to give that story out to absolutely everything. Okay. And then the world is only really mirroring back exactly what I gave it, but I think that it isn't because you're wrong and I'm right.
Yeah.
I think you're wrong, but that's because I'm so scared I'm wrong.
Right. And you're just looking for the validation that you're right.
You're nuts. So it's just crazy. And I really encourage people to just really, really look at your beliefs that are driving your story. I mean, who's writing your story?
Yeah. And it is fascinating how quickly um, you can attach things that change your story without even really thinking about what your story is anymore. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, yeah, I'm at a point in my life where I know I'm going to spend time on my story because things have changed and it just doesn't fit anymore.
Right.
So, yeah.
Kind of like shoes don't fit anymore. Women can relate to this. When I was corporate, we were really, really obsessed with shoes because we were all a bunch of, we were all a bunch of let's look cuter than the other one back in those days, and we all had this access to this really cool shoe store, and we'd all have these fancy shoes, 3 inches, 4 inches, and we'd all one up each other. You couldn't pay me enough money to put that shoe on right now because there's just nothing about me that needs to wear a 3 inch heel anywhere,
I
anyhow.
would hurt myself badly.
Right. I mean, I'm much more concerned about my butt hitting the ice or the dirt or the cement. It just doesn't matter. There's nothing about me that needs to wear that. And I want to be comfortable. I don't want that. And so your story does change. Now, does the narration behind that truth change? Because I can still present to the world that I am the 3 inch heel one that needs the validation that I'm hot, even though I'm now 60 some years old. I can still have the screwed up narration going,
Mm-hmm. You can.
right?
Hmm.
And that's really a disconnect.
Right. Ugh, goodness.
Or I can finally just really go, oh my goodness, I'm going to celebrate all these, ridiculous shoes that I don't care about anymore and really celebrate how I moved into such and such and find the blessings in that, blah, blah, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah,
And what, donate
it's a
your shoes.
lot.
You just donate your
I
shoes?
did. Yeah. I did. I thought it was fun. I just kept seeing all these people picking them up on the shelf because they were really cool. Oh my God, $2. Whoa, so. Anyway, I think it's really, really fun to watch these structures from afar. One of the things that I encourage because it is holiday season, I encouraged a lot of my clients this week to play the game of being the observer of this stuff when they're in the family dynamics. And if you do have a difficult family, which many do at this time, play the game and not judgment, just play the game of watching the dynamic. Play the game of watching the belief systems, especially if you grew up in a household with some strict ones, right?
Mhm.
Wow, brother so and so is really pulling out that belief that we had from blah, blah, blah. It's so amazing. And you will find people fighting, defending, screaming, yelling, getting angry, all kinds of things. And they're not even really fighting the real fight. They're fighting the belief fight. And it's so crazy. And it's really fun to observe it sometimes, just quietly in a neutral zone on the side of the room. It's just fascinating.
Yeah, it is fascinating.
But do
And
your best to not judge because they're over there. Well, who do you think you are on your high horse? You were one of us when you thought like that too. I mean, all that can come into play, especially especially in family stuff. But I found myself, like I said, this was coming up more and more, and I kept drawing it out more and more each time, and I'm like, this is like a really big thing. I mean, that's a big thing that
It's
happens.
really helpful that you did the drawing to explain, because
Hmm.
you think about perception, and I never thought about because I assumed it just comes right back in, but then you make it your knowledge or your belief in that process, right?
Oh yeah.
It was
And
just
that
really,
belief solidifies the story, Kim. That
yeah.
belief see, I am the loser in the family. See, I am the stupid one.
Hmm. And
See,
it's
I'm the
all
dumb.
connected to your looping thoughts about yourself,
Yeah.
what that is. Oh
And
my,
remember, this can be a positive screwed up message too. See, I'm the one that has to help everybody. See, I'm the one that needs to fix everything. See, I'm the smartest kid in the family. It can always look like, oh, I'm the great one too, which is actually an empath move.
hmm.
Also, we want to make sure that we understand, even when I have to be the fabulous one, that's actually just as detrimental of a program, if not even more sometimes, because of the exhaustion of it all, as the black sheep.
Hmm. No, I
Yeah.
agree. I've been there, done that for sure.
Haven't we both? Yes.
Yep. I just recently added some triggers around that too, but
Yeah.
oof, yeah, it's
Yeah.
tough.
It's an amazing concept, and I invite people to, obviously I always take it or leave it, but I just think this is a really cool time of celebrating and family and overabundance. And we just went through the Black Friday, which makes me laugh because it used to be a day, now it's a weekend, then it's a week, now it's a month. I mean, let's just have abundance beyond abundance of crap that we don't need.
Mhm.
And there's just so much inauthenticity and so much outside validation that I really encourage people to just think deeper on what's true. Is this real? Do I need the 60-inch TV, or do I, sort of kind of concept as we go through, and really just, or do I just really want to spend time with my grandkids? That's maybe what I want to do.
Yeah.
Maybe I want to make some cookies.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
kind of fun, kind of
Sound
fun to think about, right?
It is. And like I said, it's changing all the time, and if you're like the other day, I'm like, I'm gonna start journaling and, you know, channeling and just revamping because there's a lot of change.
And that channeling that you do, especially when you write your prayers,
Mhm.
because you write prayer this way. You don't write prayer this way. That's not how that works.
Yeah.
And I witnessed you do it. It's similar to like when I find myself reading my own books and go, huh, that's a really good idea. Who wrote that?
Oh,
Because it
that
comes
sounded
it
really
comes this
great.
way. That was a really good idea. So, when you're in that alignment, it's flow and it's
Yeah.
ease
Hmm.
and it's grace. All
Yes.
of those lovely words that we sort of, lose sight of when we're under stress of the holiday. So, something to play with.
Harder to work for. Yeah, a little harder. That's all.
Good. All right. Anything else? Land the plane on
Oh,
that
that
one?
was really great. I love the drawing. The
That's a
drawing.
biggie.
It was
The
a good
drawing.
one.
Yeah, whenever we're on Vibe Tribe and I start to turn the camera, I like their messages on the side. Out comes the whiteboard. Yay.
Yay.
Yeah, and I am kind of slamming Vibe Tribe. Get it to yourself for Christmas if you choose to, because we do some really, major in-depth training that you don't get anywhere else. It's the only place I do that. And I do it because the people that really commit to that really do have an inner knowledge of how the structure works. And we teach some tough stuff, and it's a lot of fun. So you can always check it out on my website.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, on behalf of both of us, hopefully that'll get you through some of the holiday mayhem and the craziness of the day. If not, just let it go and enjoy it.
there you
Right?
go.
Maybe hit the subscribe and the share, leave us a comment. We would love to see our numbers go up for the holiday season. That would be lovely so we can share our messages even more.
That
So
would be
thanks
an
for
amazing
coming on.
gift. Hmm.
Cosmic Hugs.
Goodbye.